You people think you're above the law just because you're dressed nice, the officer snapped, yanking her wrist back with a click of cold steel. Gasps echoed across the cafe. A dozen eyes turned to watch the blonde woman, elegant, composed, and still sitting upright even as the officer locked a handcuff around her wrist without warning. Her other hand gripped her coffee cup, still untouched. She hadn't raised her voice. She hadn't resisted. She had simply said, "There must be a mistake." But he wasn't listening. The officer stood over her like a schoolyard bully in a badge. "Stand up, now." The entire cafe froze, whispers swirled like smoke. Is she a criminal? Maybe she used a fake card. She looks rich. The woman slowly rose, her heels clicking softly against the wooden floor. Still calm, still poised. The second cuff snapped shut. The officer muttered something into his radio. "You're under arrest for credit card fraud." That's when she spoke again, quiet but clear. "You didn't even ask my name." The officer smirked. "We don't need to. We've got witnesses and a report." Her voice didn't waver. "One call." He rolled his eyes. "Lady, this isn't a movie." "One call." Something in her tone made him hesitate. The calm, the authority. It wasn't a plea. It was a statement. The officer pulled out her phone from her purse and placed it in her cuffed hands. "You've got 60 seconds." She dialed. No panic, no tears, just, "Hi, love, it happened. They didn't ask for ID." A pause. "Okay, I'll wait." The officer scoffed. "What? Your lawyer husband gonna come storming in here and quote the Constitution?" She turned to him and said simply, "Worse." 15 minutes later, 3 black SUVs pulled up to the front of the cafe. Out stepped 2 men in dark suits, followed by a sharply dressed, silver-haired man with a Department of Justice ID clipped to his belt. The cafe door swung open, and silence fell. Everyone turned. The smug officer shifted uncomfortably as the silver-haired man approached, flanked by 2 federal agents. He didn't shout, he didn't ask. He simply showed his badge and said, "Where is my wife?" The officer's mouth fell open. The woman raised her cuffed hands slightly. "Here." The federal agent's jaw clenched. "Take those off." The officer fumbled with the keys, stammering, "Sir, I didn't know. She was using someone else's credit card and the name didn't match the—" "That's because it's my card," the husband growled, "and she uses her maiden name when she travels. Something you'd know if you'd done the absolute bare minimum." A beat of silence passed. Then the husband leaned in, voice low and lethal. "You didn't ask for ID. You didn't verify the report. You cuffed my wife in public without probable cause or a warrant and humiliated her." He turned to the cafe crowd. "Did any of you witness her committing a crime?" No one spoke. "I didn't think so." He turned back to the officer. "Congratulations, you're being investigated for unlawful detainment, use of excessive force, and violating civil procedure." The officer tried to backpedal, his voice trembling now. "Sir, I was just following—" "Protocol," the agent cut in. "That's not protocol, that's profiling." And then came the twist no one expected. Because this wasn't just a federal agent, he was the newly appointed Deputy Director of Internal Affairs for the DOJ. And he made one call. Within 30 minutes, the officer's commanding supervisor arrived. Papers were signed. Body cam footage pulled. Witness statements recorded. By the end of the day, the officer was suspended without pay, pending a full investigation. The cafe manager personally apologized to the woman, who remained composed through it all. No anger, no breakdown, just dignity. As she and her husband exited the cafe, someone near the door softly asked, "Why didn't you say who you were from the start?" She turned with a gentle smile, "Because no one should have to." And in that moment, everyone realized this wasn't about power. It was about principle. That woman could have called for help the moment things went sideways. She didn't. She waited. Gave the officer every chance to do the right thing. He didn't. And that's what exposed him. The lesson wasn't just for him, it was for everyone watching. That how someone looks, speaks, or dresses should never override the need for basic respect and due process. Because sometimes the person you're humiliating isn't just someone's daughter or wife. She's a test, and you failed. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and drop a karma in the comments below.